Something's spoiled.
Spoiled Star Trek.
I need it both hands.
Yes.
The other hand.
Spoiled Trek. Spoiled Discovery. Scott, Tony, Danny, back with you here with Something Spoiled. Here to talk about the new Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery. We're 2 episodes in. The show is streaming on CBS All Access here in the United States. The UK and other places abroad, you can catch it on Netflix. And when Discovery was first announced, it was announced that it was going to take place in the Star Trek Prime universe. For those of you who are uninitiated, the Prime universe is the universe that we all grew up with, the show that started back in the 1960s with Kirk and Spock. So the controversy was, of course, that this is a show that takes place in the Prime universe, but it doesn't look like it takes place in the Prime universe. That's one of the few challenges that you get with Star Trek Discovery. So it doesn't look like a Star Trek show. There's also a main character who is connected to traditional Star Trek characters, Commander Michael Burnham, our lead. First time in a Star Trek property that we've had an African-American female as the lead, so that's relatively progressive. But she grew up in the same household as Spock. She is Ambassador Sarek's ward. He rescued her after a Klingon attack had killed her parents. So she grew up essentially on Vulcan. And there were a lot of us who said, well, if she grew up in Spock's household, how come we haven't heard of her until now? Well, the truth is because they wanted a way to endear her to fans, and that was probably the best way that they found that they could do it. So as a traditional Star Trek fan, which I very much am, I had to get past some of those hurdles. That said, what Discovery sets out to do, it does pretty well. Mm-hmm. The show does not look like a Trek show, per se. The ships all have a primary saucer section. They have nacelles. And, of course, there is a bridge configuration in the ships, although in the Shenzhou, the hero ship in the first 2 episodes, it's configured a little bit differently. But the space sequences are beautiful, the action's beautiful, and the cast is on top of their game. They really did get some good actors to introduce us to these characters. Sonequa Martin-Green, who plays Commander Michael Burnham, as you mentioned, she's on Once Upon a Time.
And Walking Dead.
And Walking Dead, which is where I know her from. She puts up a very nuanced performance as Commander Burnham. For someone who grew up on Vulcan, she is very Vulcan-like, but you can see the human underneath. And she plays that very well. And when we meet her 7 years after she meets Captain Philippa Georgiou, played by Michelle Yeoh, she pretty much runs the ship, which is what an XO is supposed to do, and you believe every bit that she's in charge. Love the performances, love the execution.
I really like the show. I really want it to do really well. I'm just kind of worried about the whole CBS All Access thing being successful. With that said, the show is great. I think its weakest point is the fact it's actually trying to be a Star Trek show. It's pretty easy if you cut out some central things to turn this into its entirely own franchise, entirely own property that actually would be amazing. All you really need to do is remove Sarek, change the Klingons' names, and don't mention the Federation, and we have this entirely new sci-fi property that's actually pretty solid. I really like how the show looked. I felt it looked pretty close to the J.J. Abrams movies, more than the actual show itself, which actually kind of confused me because I thought this might be in the Kelvin timeline, but he sort of wasn't.
They said very much that it takes place in the Prime universe.
Right. A lot of people are complaining about the uniforms, but the uniforms actually look pretty close to the Scott Bakula Star Trek Enterprise, so that kind of makes sense. I don't understand how they went from this to the TOS uniforms, but maybe we'll see something with that. I thought the cast was fantastic, the story's fantastic, the idea of following somebody who's not a captain and actually seeing somebody completely be decimated career-wise, and I'm assuming a slow redemption, is going to be really interesting to see throughout the show.
I guess you could make the argument that in Deep Space Nine, Commander Sisko didn't start off as a captain, but here's somebody who looks like they're not going to have any chance of being a captain because of essentially torpedoing her career by deliberately and blatantly disobeying orders, which is something that they executed pretty well. They actually gave you a plausible reason why she disobeyed orders. She actually thought that she was doing the right thing, and her mentor essentially told her, this is what we did to avoid a war with the Klingons. And she said, this is what we have to do. She tried to do it. She tried to actually stage a mutiny on her ship. And unfortunately, it didn't work. And because of the outcome of events, she pretty much shot her career and her freedom in the foot. And that's something that we haven't seen in the Star Trek universe before. Usually everything is hunky-dory and, you know...
Exterior influence, exterior conflict.
Exactly. Everything's from the outside. The Federation is beautiful. You've never seen that kind of mutiny on a ship before. That was pretty smart.
Overall, I mean, for me, because I'm a big fan of like high science fiction, I love high fantasy, high science fiction. It was very satisfying. I felt completely enthralled every minute with the show. The scenes in the ship, the environments, the colors, the textures. There was some of that made-for-TV aesthetic slightly, but it was so slight that I was impressed by how much it looked like a motion picture, a feature film.
Right.
One thing,
pacing thing, probably.
Yeah. One thing in the first episode, that I was upset about, the camera tilt, it was overused in the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
It was like every scene, like the whole something's wrong. You know, they tilt the camera. It was like the first. I was just kind of like.
There's even an irritating point where they're talking and the camera kind of spins around to show that they're arguing a different point of view. And it kind of does this.
They stopped this in the second episode. Like I don't even think they did it once. So I was like, thank God. But overall, oh my God, it was stunning. I thought the acting was great because I'm not a true fan of Star Trek. I'm a passive fan because I just like science fiction in general. So I'll just watch anything science fiction. This was just more amazing to me. So,
and you're right. The cast once again. Love Sonequa Martin-Green as Michael Burnham. I loved Michelle Yeoh as Captain Philippa Georgiou. She makes you forget that she ever used to run around with Jackie Chan. Yet she does still have a good fight scene. So, you know, it looks like she hasn't lost her chops. But she's definitely in command of her ship. Loves her performance. James Frain surprised me. There's always usually a surprise. And I liked his version of Sarek. And Sarek has only been played, to my knowledge, prominently by two other actors, Ben Cross and, of course, Mark Leonard. He was actually played once by a young actor in Star Trek V during a flashback sequence, but not notably. But those two actors did a pretty decent job, particularly Mark Leonard, who had the character the longest. But James Frain brought something new to the character.
Sense of weight of the world kind of aspect to him, yeah.
He really did.
Can we talk about the weird Daft Punk looking robot that's on a ship? Did you recognize that? It spoke with like a female robotic voice, but they just kind of throw that away. That was something like, I wanted to explore that more to figure out why there's a Daft Punk kind of robot on the ship.
And if she doesn't show up on the Discovery, we'll probably never find out.
Another really awesome part for me, though, was Doug Jones. Doug Jones, you might know from the Guillermo del Toro movies. He was Pan in Pan's Labyrinth. He was he's everything monstrous in Guillermo del Toro movies. And to see him actually have a regular character is really exciting for me because I always love his work. I think he disappears into everything he does. So watch him as Saru. I'm really excited to see where that goes from here.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's always phenomenal. I am looking forward to actually getting on the Discovery. I have been a longtime fan of Jason Isaacs.
Oh yeah.
And I think he's going to be a great choice as the captain of the Discovery. The Klingons, once again, another one of those controversial choices. They decided, for whatever reason, to make them look completely different from how we've seen them look before. As a result, their heads are huge. If they continue to execute at the high level that they've been executing, we should see a good series, almost despite the fact that it's supposed to take place in the Star Trek universe. I, for one, despite my reservations, despite a lot of the baggage that I bring, I'm looking forward to the next episode, and I want to see what they do.
Oh yeah, I'm tuning in. I wanted to hate it completely, but there's nothing to hate.
I'm super excited. It was so visually stunning and so enthralling and so exciting and emotionally involving that I can't wait to just see what happens next.
Yeah.
But that's what we think, folks. What are your thoughts? Are you a big-time Star Trek fan like me? Are you like, what's this new thing on CBS All Access? I want to check it out. Did you like what you saw? Are you like, I'm not tuning in to watch another episode? We want to know. Leave your comments below, if you will. And as always, if you like what you saw here and you want to see more, please subscribe so that you too can be spoiled. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time with our next review.